Welcome to Wealth Coffee Chats, folks, for your daily live updates. Get the most out of today's episode by participating in the chat. Make sure you ask some questions, be part of the conversation, have a bit of fun, grab a coffee or a tea, take some notes, and get ready to start your day, folks. Quick few housekeeping rules, though. No spamming, no advertising or self-promotion in the chat. That's not on. Be kind and respectful to everyone when participating. And most of all, have a good time. Real estate investing can be your biggest asset. It also can be your most expensive asset when it comes to getting it right or getting it wrong, folks. It can be time-consuming, stressful, and that's why here at Positive, we have what's called a 6-star team, a full-service team that provides integrated wealth and property investing solutions and services simply designed to help you progress towards your goal of passive income through your property portfolio, folks. Make sure you check out our other podcasts on the Positive Mentor Network. Not only is there Wealth Coffee Chats, there's the Urban Property Investor. Drops every Wednesday with straight talking investing strategies and lessons with Sam Saggers. Property Investor Tales. This is where our clients, you guys, share real life stories from property investing, hosted by some of our advisors and strategists. And that's done every fortnight, dropping every Monday. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, folks, that debriefs the week that was in the world of finance and property, hosted by yours truly, Jason Witten and Andy Fenton on Fridays. Hey, good morning, folks.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat.
Hope you're well, folks, wherever you are.
There it is, team. Morning. Morning, wherever you're tuning in from today.
Early bird gets the worm, they say. Here at Positive, we offer a 6-star team. It's a team that help you at every stage of your wealth creation journey.
Welcome to another edition of Wealth Coffee Chat, our Friday finance edition. Why don't mortgage brokers play hide and seek? They can't stay hidden. They always disclose. Great news this week, everybody. If you haven't heard yet, the RBA has reduced the interest rate by 0.25%. We actually have some lenders who actually have already started moving their rates. So Macquarie's new rates will actually start today. Now, these new rates are actually for new borrowings, so new clients moving to the lenders. If you're an existing Macquarie client, it may take a little bit more time for the rates to actually flow through to your current loan. But definitely keep an eye out on it. There's been 3 rate cuts this year. The question is, will there be more? A certain indication is that there's room for more rate cuts, but obviously the RBA are going to wait for the data following this rate cut to see if there is a need for more. A great time to start having a conversation with your brokers to see if this rate cut on your existing loan is going to unlock your ability to borrow more. I spoke about it last week, but with all the rate cuts, yes, Tim, sometimes it takes the major lenders, and I'm going to group St. George in with the major lenders because it's actually owned by Westpac, which means all of Westpac Group will most likely be dropping their rates at the end of the month. What I was saying is that the 3 rate cuts have increased on average about $42,000 in terms of additional borrowing. Just purely based on the rate cuts and if your situation hasn't changed from the beginning of the year until now. As always, I've shared before, once the rate cuts come through, reach out to your lender, reach out to your brokers to find out what that interest rate is compared to what is available in the market, and then start the process of negotiating rates. Now, I know that we've probably been negotiating rates over the last few rate cuts. Shane, wow, okay. And that's on your existing loan. I would probably just double check, because often what I've found is that the lenders will send out a letter saying that your rate has dropped, but they often put a date on when the rate will actually drop. So just double check the letter. But Shane, mate, if Westpac has actually dropped it by 0.25 already, then that's great. I still encourage you to go through the process that I've shared before, which is compare that with what else is available in the market, and then start the negotiation process with Westpac if it's going to help you get an even bigger discount on your current loan. So yes, there is some indications that there is room for more additional rate cuts, but we're obviously going to have to wait and to see what the data is over the next couple of months. This week I read some news about there was some research around borrowers and some of the mistakes that they experience going through the home loan process. And they list the most common mistakes that they come across were 18% of them were focusing too much on the rate. 18% of them assuming all home loans are basically the same. Another 18% failing to consider how their needs might change in the future. 16% said opting for major lenders without considering other options. That's always a big one. And 13% assumed that home loan pre-approval guarantees the final approval, which actually leads me on to my topic for today, which is pre-approvals. What are they, and are they worth it? Now, pre-approval is when we provide all the information to the banks. We actually submit an application, and there is it will reflect in your credit report that you've inquired on a loan. The only missing piece of that is the actual security that the banks are actually going to look. The actual security that the banks will take. So basically, it means we're looking at income and liability, but we're not specifically looking at the security, and we're giving the security as a scenario. Now, what's great about that is if we can get a lender to look at your current income and liability situation, they can actually give you a certainty around how much they can actually lend to you. Now, it also is subject to the valuation. So if you buy a property and the valuation comes back lower, that's obviously going to affect how you're going to be able to complete purchase of the property. However, knowing that you have a figure where, especially when you're going to an auction and there is no cooling off period, if you win the auction, it's a 10% deposit straight away. So you often want to go into that with some confidence that you have a lender that is going to be in a position to be able to lend you the money based on your income and your liabilities. So to me, organizing pre-approvals now, and I say especially for going into auction, gives you peace of mind to know that there is a solution for you. The only problem that we do come across is not all lenders actually do a full pre-approval. We have lenders who, what they do is they actually they let us lodge an application. They'll register that on your credit file, but they'll just look at the information you enter. And then they'll come back and say to you, based on the information provided, we're happy to give you an indicative approval, subject to full verification of that information. Even though we would have supplied all your supporting documents, pay slips, bank statements, financial statements, tax returns, all of those sort of things, We may provide them all of that, yet they still won't look at that until you've actually found a property. What I have done in the past is we've looked at lenders, and with the clients, I've worked with them and the agent, or an agent, if you haven't even found a property yet. If you have an idea of what area you want to purchase in, you can go to the local agent, take a look at a few of their properties, and request for a contract of sale. That document is enough. That document is enough for the lenders to actually go through the whole process of actually assessing your application. And if later on you decide that you're no longer proceeding with the purchase of that particular property, then the lenders then put that loan as a conditional approval until you actually find the property. The conditional approval is almost identical to a pre-approval in the fact that the banks have assessed everything. Now, if we can get a conditional approval, that is actually even better than a pre-approval, because it means that the banks actually have looked at your situation, and they have actually come back and said yes, subject to a few conditions, which is normally the valuation. I often hear that clients will go into a branch and the branch will give you a conditional approval on the spot. A pre-approval on the spot. Again, this is similar to what I was speaking about when we just enter data into the online system. They'll just look at that information, but there's actually no verification of any documents. So we just want to be really careful, because that type of pre-approval actually means nothing. And that goes back to, the 13% of homeowners who assume that pre-approvals actually guarantee a final approval. Now, what I will say is, moving forward, a lot of lenders are using more technology and AI to verify data without us having to provide documentation. Now, that could mean that you could get an instantaneous pre-approval with some of these lenders, or in the future, you may be able to just enter some data, and the lenders will actually go out and verify all that information and actually come back and give you the pre-approval for you ready to go to purchase your property. Now, some of the things to remember, and this is the fine print around the pre-approvals, is that pre-approvals come with a time limit. Most pre-approvals will only last 90 days. So you have 3 months to find a property and actually settle as well. Okay, so we have to be very careful in terms of the time frame around that. What happens when the pre-approval expires? We can actually apply for it again. But the thing we have to remember is that every time you apply for a pre-approval, it actually gets registered on your credit file. And if you keep doing that, it actually will have an impact on your credit score. What I often talk to my clients about is, if we've already done a fully assessed pre-approval, which means they've looked at everything and nothing in your world has changed, then we don't necessarily need to go and get another pre-approval. However, if you are looking to attend an auction, then absolutely you want to know that you have a lending solution. Now, the lending solution that you have going into the auction, or the lender that you've chosen for the pre-approval, doesn't have to actually be the lender that you proceed with once you found the property. There's nothing to say that the whole thing can't be reassessed once you found the property, and there may be a better lender who didn't do the pre-approval, but are now in a position to be able to lend to you. So it's worth reassessing your current situation once you've found the property with your broker to see the best option at that particular time. Now, pre-approvals are based on your circumstances at the time of pre-approval. And if that changes, then the pre-approval will no longer be valid because your current situations or your circumstances have changed and actually need to be reassessed again. And the last one, and as I mentioned before, not all lenders do pre-approvals. So it's worth sitting down with your broking team and running through who can do pre-approvals and what type of pre-approvals are they, and is that going to give you peace of mind, knowing that that particular lender that you've chosen is going to provide you a lending solution so that it gives you comfort to proceed with the purchase of a property, but that lender doesn't necessarily have to be the lender of choice once you've already found the property. So I hope that has been helpful. I wish you all a wonderful Friday and an amazing weekend, and I look forward to catching up with you all next week.
Thanks for watching another episode of Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing when we go live. Improve your portfolio and investing game, folks, with Wealth Coffee Chats live every morning at 8:10 each weekday. Make sure you join us. Previous episodes are also available wherever you get your podcasts, folks, as well as our other podcasts from the 6-Star team here at positivementor.com.au.